Greetings, dear friends. Well, here we are. It's Saturday night and you've done your final walk around the expo area, picked up all the free drinks, had an agreeable local meal, and now you're ready for a final run around the showcases. Or at least you would be if this wasn't the year 2020. They used to say, the world is your oyster. Now it's just, the world is your sofa. What can you do? Let's all share the love as we gather together, separately, in front of our screens of choice, and give some support to our showcase artists now. As I've said before, if you miss or wish to see any videos again or contact the artist directly, look for the artist profiles button up above my head. There is music in the air, etc., etc. And so let's start the proceedings here on stage left with the Golnar Mahan Trio. That's Iranian-Canadian vocalist, composer, lyricist, guitarist and pianist Golnar Shaya, Iranian-Austrian fretless guitarist and oud player Mahan Mirarab, and Austrian percussionist Amir Wahba. Together they draw on a wide range of inspirations to create an international music with its roots in a shared Iranian heritage. Golnar Mahan Trio.
یادی در انتهای وجودم زبانه در سکوت سرد شب آتشی زد بر دلم جوانه کشید شعله یادی در انتهای وجودم زبانه دستان طلایی خورشید پوست کوها را نوازشی کرد روح دشت در غبار غمناک شب به خواب رفت خوابی کودکانه در راهم سال هاست که در راهم انقدر گفتم خدا نگهدار که ندارد دل و دیدم اشتیاقی دگر به لحظه دیدار در گرفتی غمناک تنهایی کشید شعله‌ای یادی در انتهای وجودم زبانه در راهم سالهاست که در راهم اونقدر گفتم خدا نگهدار که ندارد دل و دیدم اشتیاقی دگر به لحظه دیدار در گرفتی غمناک تنهایی چند دلخوشی دارم مخمل حضور ما در قلبی وحشی آرزوهام تنی تنی استوار
Oh
به تو دادم دل و دین بر همه کس کشته یقین ای زنم من ز تو دوری نتوانم دیگر جانم بس تو صبوری نتوانم دیگر بیا حبیبم بیا طبیبم بیا حبیبم بیا طبیبم تو دوری نتوانم دیگر جانم بست صبوری نتوانم دیگر بیا حبیبم بیا طبیبم بیا حبیبم بیا طبیبم
I'm talking to Golnar Shayar about the Golnar and Mahan Trio. Golnar and Mahan Mirarab have performed well in many festivals and on radio programs all over Europe, including mine, by the way. I was very surprised by your CD, Derakt. And I didn't see it coming, so probably other people also didn't see it coming. So please share with us your history and the concept of making music.
Sure. First of all, hello to everybody. My name is Golnar Shahir from Golnar Mahan Trio. And our collaborative history with Mahan goes to the past 10 years. We played with so many different musicians together, also separate. We had so many different bands and ensembles, and what you hear from us currently is actually the fruit of all those years of collaboration. Also 4 years of collaboration with Amir Bahba here. This is how Durante came into this world. Our concept was always to find a place where we feel belong to. You know, being the personality that having the personality we have, it's a bit hard to find the space where you say this is where I belong. So you always have to look for that. So the concept of Durante is exactly that. We look for our roots, a place we can feel belong, and we always also look for new ways to express ourselves and to find new ways of understanding the world around us. So Durante is actually symbolic of this constant search for your roots, but also for a person who you can be. And this is exactly reflecting into our music.
Well, it's not jazz, it's not Persian, it's a kind of Oriental fusion, or what is it actually like? If somebody would ask you, what is the music like you make? Would you say, yeah, it's Persian? Or would you say it's, well, describe it.
Well, we are a music storytellers, musical storytellers, or we can say music painters.
So the lyrics are very important.
Please, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sorry for interrupting. So the lyrics are very important?
Lyrics are as important as the music. So we use not only, when I say music storyteller, musical storyteller, it's not only through lyrics, it's also through the emotions that we share with the audience, with sounds, with silence, and with so many different elements that a music in itself has.
One important thing is that we enjoy to play together, we enjoy to share music. So if I had to explain it to someone who had no idea of this music, it's also something through this communication on stage we share with the audience. Together with the audience we create joy, we create intimacy, and through this I think it's a very big part in our music.
But it seems extremely organized and accurate what you are playing. So you're probably rehearsing a lot. Well, how can you respond to an audience if everything is so well prepared?
Actually, I answered it. We are actually individually are all of us professional freelance musicians. We work with different ensembles, with orchestras, and that's actually our job, to do our job as well as we can. At the end, it's, of course, it's not 100% perfect because nobody is perfect, but we do our best to prepare our stuff. We do our best to produce as good as we can and play it with, I'll give the whole love and energy that we have when we are playing on the stage and when we are recording in the studio.
Also, it's important to say that through all these collaborations that we had throughout our musical career, as well as our enthusiasm to always push our understanding about musical vocabulary, our musical vocabulary is very bright. So our understanding of rhythm, harmony, and a concept of sound is it has a very large range. Which that automatically becomes a part of our, let's say, music mother tongue. So this thing that seems very complex has become a part of our normal musical language. So if that also answers your question.
If you're making use of a tradition, there will always be those people who carry the tradition from one generation to the next generation. And they may say, "Hey, what she is doing is bad," yeah, because she has a guitar in it, not a kanun or like that. How do you deal with this? How to say the dignity of tradition?
Can I answer?
Yes, sure.
Actually, I personally grew up with traditional music in Iran. I studied traditional Iranian music. I played tar, I played oud, and I always had to deal with that because at the same time, I was all the time playing jazz and classical music. I was playing piano and guitar, and I was living in two parallel worlds, which nobody could accept each other. And at some point, I became aware of, yeah, we can keep the tradition and also grow it, and also get grown in different ways. Like we shouldn't all the time repeat ourselves or repeat a certain tradition in our lives. I totally respect Iranian classical music as much as I respect the whole sounds in the world, or the whole music genres or musical approaches in the world. So I learned it as a kid, but I shouldn't repeat it in my whole life. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I have also a different opinion about that. I believe we have to look at the functionality of music. There are music that hold the tradition, and there are musicians who find their home in those traditions, and that's absolutely respectable and necessary, absolutely necessary. But there's also musicians and musical movements that bring those traditions forward, adapt them to the contemporary needs of the society. For example, me as a woman could never find my real voice and personality in the musical tradition in Iran. As much as I respect it, there is no place for me there. There is no place for me there. So I had to find my own world in order to be honest with myself through music. So this is actually sometimes the problem with tradition. It becomes so rigid that it doesn't allow self-expression anymore. I respect it as a knowledge that has to be there, but also I respect people who have a different open mind to it and brings it forward.
You're based in Vienna, right? Or in Austria, and you're performing on the regional stage. Vienna is the hub for Balkan music, for Balkan crossover. Do you also include Balkan music?
Austria is not only Balkan music. Austria has so many different musical cultures in it, and we enjoyed those musical cultures. We grew with it, and we want to actually, through our music, show a different side of what contemporary Austrian music is. We don't believe contemporary Austrian music is just the white European coming from white European class, or the classical European, but we believe that whatever is happening right now in Austria is also contemporary music. And yes, you said there are a lot of influence from Balkan, but there's also a lot of influence from all over the world, like the Turkish, now a lot of Arabic, Iraqi, Arabic, Afghan. We are bringing a lot of Iranian influence. We have African influences. So we believe we need to celebrate all of them. And our music language is actually a celebration of that.
These days, a lot of musicians have to suffer from the corona situation, and probably while you're performing live, so it's a problem for you as well, I'm sure. Please tell, how do you deal with it? How is the situation in Austria?
Yeah, actually in Austria, a lot of festivals didn't cancel during the summer. And also there was a great festival, Kultursommer in Vienna, and also in other cities, which started like making big stages in big fields for musicians to keep the distance for the audience and make some musical events, theaters and dance, contemporary dance. So I really appreciated what happened in Austria during the summer. Still, last week we were on tour also in Germany, and yes, of course, you see less audience as before, but still I feel so appreciated to play music, play with other people, in these situations. And yeah, a lot of concerts also got cancelled because of the situation. And yeah, that's how we can find new ways to play music and spread our words.
Yeah, and on the other hand, also like it's some chance to have more time, less traveling for concerts, and I think we all also enjoy and are fond or happy for this situation where everyone has more time to calm down, to play, to be connected with his instrument or voice. So I think there are both sides.
Also, I want to add to that you know, being a musician, it makes it hard for you to influence your work condition if you're on the road all the time and you're overwhelmed with so much work. This pandemic, as much as it's hard for all of us, is an opportunity for all of us, because as musicians, we need to be more involved in how our industry is working, how our working conditions are, how the music is being represented. And so a little bit of activism in our work is, I think, necessary. And this pandemic gave us the time to really come together as musicians. For example, in Austria, we have now IG Freischaffende Musik. So it's an organization that now is working for better working conditions for musicians, working musicians, you know, performing musicians, independent ones. And so these are all the sides of Corona. So we come from a country where, you know, surprises are not a surprise anymore. So we take things as an opportunity, definitely. And we see this as an opportunity that brings musicians as well as all the people involved in the industry together, maybe hopefully to improve our music industry, because we need definitely a lot of improvement.
Okay, yeah, well, there's another opportunity, the WOMEX. I hope you can make something out of it. Thanks.
Thank you so much for this interview. Thank you so much.
Next stop, Fanfara Station. Change here for connections to Tunisia, Kentucky and funky Naples. Yes, Fanfara Station is a trance-inducing international Neapolitan celebration with a brass band, an entire North African rhythm section and pumping electro dance beats setting the pace. All created by just 3 musicians. How do they do it? You'll see. Fanfara Station is singer, composer, woodwind wielder and noted percussionist Marzouk Mejri, whose memories of his father's brass band in Tunisia inspired the concept. Kentucky-born trumpeter and trombonist Charles Ferris is on board, conjuring brass sections from looping devices, and manic master programmer Marco Del Masso directing the dance floor dynamics. Okay, here we are, Fanfara Station. Leave your baggage behind and mind the gap between the platform and your reality.
ونسبوا الخبا يوم الخميس ونسبوا الخبا يوم الخميس واستاذنوني نغني والفرح في دار الحباب والفرح في دار الحباب يا ربي بارك وهاني بالفنفارة وعروسته حلوة ومسرارة وما نخاف عليه زغرتها لحنين عليه يا سيدي ما بهالي فرحوا بالدربوكة وهالليلة ان شاء الله مبروكة ما نخاف عليه زغرتها لحنين عليه يا سيدي ما بهالي فرحة بكرم بيته وهالليلة نغني ونعمل عايزة ما نخاف عليه ها برا يشريه وعسيه البلابل وزد الغرام هل لنا نوس نرشق القوام أم لنا نقابل في كاس المدام أهلا وسهلا بالسيد الميلاد قلبي مولع بنور الصباح أهلا وسهلا بالسيد الملاح قلبي مولع بنور الصباح يا سيدي ما بهالي فرحه بالفرفرة وعروسته حلوة ومسرارة وما نخاف عليه زغرت يا لحنين عليه Gatti, t'as pas? اي مشيت وجيت انا القلب نيه مشيت وجيت انا القلب نيه في وسط البيت على الفرش تحنا في وسط البيت وعلى الفرش تحنا من ريق هرويه ها والله يا حبابي والريق هرويه ها والله يا حبابي سكر بعسل سكر بعسل اي طيح مرخو 60 ليا طيح مرخو 60 ليا وعلى النجوم وراجين فوطة وعلى النجوم وراجين فوطة ما همش يسوق اتكلفوا عليا ما همش يسوق اتكلفوا عليا بل فين جمل بل فين جمل
Charles, welcome, and congratulations on being part of the whole WOMEX virtual playing that is happening, because no one can get to the actual WOMEX conference this year. There's three of you in Fanfara Station. There's Mazuk Majiri, Giacchioli et Branzini, and I'm sure you're going to correct me, and yourself, Charles Ferris, who are this band. How did you all meet?
Okay, Marzouk Mejri, he, like I am, he is an immigrant to Italy. Marzouk is from Tunisia, and he and I both made Napoli the south of the shoelaces of the Italian boot. For those who don't know the Italian peninsula geography well, we both made that our home, and we met very soon after my arrival in a collection of jam sessions that were part of a social project, cultural project related to the Middle East. And they tried to integrate electronic musicians of a younger generation, local Arab speaking musicians, and anyone else who wanted to be a part of it.
I was a part of the anyone else, because I had just gotten there and no one knew who I was, but I was already a fan of the Neapolitan underground music scene. And so I knew that was a place I wanted to be. Marzouk and I started to play at these jam sessions every week for probably a couple of months. And the next gig that he got called for, he called me, and I went and played with him and his brother. I've played with many of Marzouk's brothers, and that was a big part of my continual deepening fascination with the music of Tunisia. And then I started playing he started calling me to play in his bands, and we played in his bands. I played in his bands. And then many years later, I met Gacciole Branzini when I was playing in a festival in Sicily. He invited me to jump on stage and play some things with him. And then he started involving me in his projects. And then later on, I thought it would be great thing to bring Marzouk and Marco together. Marzouk loved the idea, and we formed Fanfara Station, which is a collective. We're really three heads that meet. You know, we each put our own into it, and we try to make a space that is inspiring for Marzouk, who has to sing, play traditional instruments, and use rhythms and from Tunisia. And we're always trying to facilitate that deepening relationship with that music.
It's really interesting that you all met as part of the Neapolitan Underground, because that underground is really a thing. And there have been so many different projects, some that have fallen over, some that continue to this day, that have allowed that space for traditional and, I guess, folkloric music from different spaces to be able to come in and then to be brought all together and then pushed out as something quite fresh and new.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I really think that Naples, at least for my understanding of Marzouk's experience, it was really facilitated by that kind of scene, that maybe if he had made another place his base, maybe he would have had a different relationship with his own roots. So Marzouk played with some of the really biggest names coming out of Napoli mostly, but also in Italy in general, but over 20 years. And he was able to nurture in this space his own relationship with his own music, continually to deepen it, even if he was not playing Tunisian music with these other people. So I think that's really interesting, is that in some ways he was able to further, explore his own relationship with the music of his childhood, with the music that he played with his brother, that he heard his father play, that he heard at the conservatory in Tunisia.
I'm really interested in this whole idea of Tunisian brass band as well. Is there a particular history with brass bands that comes with that?
Well, that's really good question, because I'm fascinated by that too, and I would love to deepen it, because it's not an easy history to document, I think, in general, because we rely on recorded documents. But let me start just by saying the personal part of the history is related to Marzouk's family and his father. His father was a snare drum player in a local municipal band that actually had a relationship with who would become the first president of liberated Tunisia. So in fact, Marzouk is, gives voice to you know, self-determination of peoples, you know, and because he's lived that in through the music of his father, not just, you know, through the speaking of his father, also through the music of his father. And there's actually an incredible photo of Marzouk's father in this municipal band with the first president of Tunisia, but before he was president. Okay, so it was he was going around, and it was part of his way of making his presence known, you know, in local communities. And so calling a sympathetic brass band to you know, next to him as he came through town, I guess
It's a fanfare.
yeah, it was a fanfare, exactly, exactly. And so, but, you know, I think, you know, I've asked that question about, in general, the longer history, and I would love to deepen it. I know that in the Balkans, for example, you know, the Ottomans can be given credit for the spreading of some of that that Herrick tradition, and I've wondered if that might explain part of the use of brass bands in North Africa as well. But it was a powerful way of making music present in public spaces throughout the world. You know, United States, I know, you know, John Philip Sousa was really important, and then that presence of brass bands, horns in the street with drums was really important to the eventual rise of jazz in Louisiana and elsewhere.
I guess on top of that as well, and I'm aware that we've only got a couple of minutes, on top of that as well is within your music, I'm hearing the echoes of migration as different groups have come through, have all added little bits of music to what you're doing now. It's like you've picked the story of people traveling within your sound.
That touches definitely me and Marzouk, but there's also something that's interesting that we talk about the African diaspora, because Tunisia's classical music of Malouf, for example, is already a music of migration but from Europe, from the Iberian Peninsula to North Africa. And that's a part of the music that is a part of Tunisia, that is considered Tunisian, you know, rooted traditional classical music, let's call it. And whereas the music of my upbringing is deeply rooted in African American traditions, that is, you know, a history of forced displacement that became a part of the American sound, regardless of who you are. You know, it's inescapable. And I really, you know, cultivated that relationship. And we discovered, Marzouk and I discovered that we had something in common due to these different migrations. You know, he has a relationship with the Southern Tunisian Black African music that's a part of the national popular identity, musical identity of Tunisia. And there's a lot in common with the folk blues that touches so many different styles of music that I played while living in the United States.
And so, you know, when I read the little bit that I had on you, and it's like, okay, there's this incredibly rich sound in terms of brass, but I refuse to believe that the brass that come from these countries is only colonial base. I reckon that there were instruments before brass that brass amplified, because, you know, the fanfare, the whatever else. Sure, the musicians came in from the big instruments came in from the West. But when you look at the zool and you're looking at other instruments like that, it's like, wow, it actually amplified this sound. That's what it did.
Without a doubt, you know, otherwise we fall into like a technological determinism, like the changing of the instrument is what makes it, but it's really the musicians who recognize the ability to bring forth something that's a part of them into a new instrument. So that's absolutely true.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Well, we know Justin Adams from his work as chief collaborator with Robert Plant in his band The Sensational Space Shifters, and, of course, as producer of Tinari Wen and Rashid Taha. And much, much more. In his latest project, he's teamed up with violinist, percussionist Mauro Durante of the fabulous southern Italian combo Canzonieri Grecanico Salentino. They met when playing the legendary Nota della Taranta concert in Puglia, and felt a rapport that has translated into this duo project, pooling together their North African and Mediterranean influences, creating a truly original sound. Justin Adams and Mauro Durante, here they are.
Well, hello to all you WOMEX delegates. And it's a pleasure to be with you. Of course, it would have been a greater pleasure to be with you physically in Budapest, but Mauro and I are so happy to have been able to get together and continue our project and get this chance to play. And to be here at Real World Studios is really something. So we'd like to particularly thank Puglia Sounds and British Underground and Sirius, who've really moved hell and high water to get us together to keep culture moving and keep cultures speaking together, and that's why we do it, and all for the love of bringing music together. So thanks, and this next song is a tune from
Italy, Italian famous folk song, originally from Abruzzo region, and then it was made famous by Domenico Modugno, also known as Mr. Volare. Amara terra mia.
alla valle, sole alla collina, per le campagne non c'è più nessuno. Addio, addio amore, io vado via, amara terra mia, amara bella. Cieli infiniti e volti come pietra, mani incallite ormai senza speranza. Addio, addio amore, io vado via, amara terra mia, amara bella. Tra gli uliveti è nata già la luna, un bimbo piange allatta un seno magro. Addio, addio amore, io vado via, amara terra mia, amara bella.
So on the next song, we're going to do a bit of invoking, because I think it's the time to invoke some good things.
I'm banning air from Afro-Pop Worldwide, joined by Justin Adams and Mauro. Let me say your last name correct.
Durante.
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 Mauro Durante. Excellent. So let's start by each of you just introducing yourselves and talk a little bit about your musical life leading up to this interesting collaboration. Mauro, why don't you start?
Well, I'm a musician coming from the south of Italy, in the Salento. It is located in the Puglia region, right at the heel of the Italian boot. And I specialize in folk music, traditional music from my area. Our most famous style is called pizzica pizzica, and that's a style of music and dance. I play the violin and frame drums, the tamburello frame drum, typical from my area, and I lead the band Canzoniere Grecanico Salentino, that was founded back in 1975. I've been touring since I was 14 years old. And along the way, I had the pleasure of meeting Justin Adams. And then life has brought us to make this project together. And I'm really, really excited to play with him.
Just before we go to Justin, tell me a little bit more about that traditional music. What did you say it was called again?
The style is called pizzica or pizzica. And it's a style very rhythmical. It's dance music. And it was used, with mainly two functions. One, the most typical was to have fun, to have, and it could be danced among a man and a woman, or women, men, especially in social gatherings, religious feasts, or any kind of a private party. And the other also really fascinating function is related to a cult of possession. It's a therapeutical function. It was music used to heal. And that's the phenomenon of Tarantism, because there was the belief that when you get bitten by this legendary spider called Taranta, then you could fall down in a state of deep disease, illness. And the only way you had to be good again was by going through this ritual and dance for hours, days, with the pizzica music. And sort of, expel the poison, exorcise the spider demon possessing you to recover your sanity. Of course, the bite was symbolic, was a symbol of a deep suffering that could be, social, sexual, or, most of the victims were women for their poor conditions. And the therapy was a sort of social therapy. The key was the community that would gather around the who was suffering, and they wouldn't be left alone. And that's our legacy.
That's fascinating. Thanks for that. I think that probably relates a little bit to some of the experiences Justin's had. And Justin, we've known each other for some time. We were together at the Festival in the Desert in Mali in 2003. And so I know a little bit more about you, but, introduce yourself once again and tell us how you came to this collaboration.
Hi, Bob Banning. It's a real pleasure to see you again. And and that, that in the desert was a kind of pivotal moment in my musical career, really. But I've had a funny kind of a mixture of experiences, musical experiences in my life. When I was a kid, I lived in the Middle East a fair bit, in Jordan and in Egypt, and I think that had quite an effect on me. The other thing that had a massive effect on me was being a teenager in the UK in the punk period, and that sort of raw energy of music was really what got me started playing electric guitar. Then I kind of thought about the Arabic music that I'd heard about in my childhood, and started to link up then in London the great African musicians like Fela and Ali Farka Touré, Youssou N'Dour started to come to London. And so I would go and see them, and in my crazy mind I started to feel connections between Cairo, between Chicago, between New Orleans. And then, I traveled to Morocco and saw that this was a kind of center of it all. And when Mauro was talking eloquently about the kind of trance and healing aspect of the Taranta music, the music that I really love is music that has a kind of healing function, a therapeutic function, and whether I found that in West Africa or different parts of the world. In a way, I believe that that's where the power of rock and roll music wasn't invented from nothing. It came from a long tradition, and mostly, through gospel music and through the blues and through I believe the kind of science of the rhythms and the scales of those kind of musics have an effect on the body and the soul, and that's what I've become most interested. So when I met Mauro the first time, which was around 10 years ago, I didn't really know. I knew about some of those traditions.
How many years did you say?
I think about 10 years ago.
10 years, okay, good.
Was it about 10 years ago? Yeah. But I didn't really know that there were living traditions of that kind of music in Europe. I always thought, well, you know, there must be, and but I wasn't so aware of living traditions of that in Europe. So, you know, we don't really have much of that in the UK. So I was fascinated to hear it, and when I heard his music, I heard the relationship with a lot of other, well, all the other kinds of music that I love, you know.
That's great. So you did some work. I've seen your video that tells your story very beautifully. I recommend it. But you did some work with the group, and then you decided to do this thing, just the two of you. Talk about that.
Well, it's not actually doing the same. I mean, we liked each other, and I think that we have sort of the same attitude regarding music. We are longing for you know, music that can be straightforward, honest, and find a way to get through, speak directly to something that's not, you know, tangible. And that's why I think that even, you know, healing music has this you know, ability to lead you somewhere else. I mean, music and dance have that. And our love for simple things, for reiteration of simple things into the dance, into the trance, the link with the rhythmical side, it's something that is really engaging and irresistible in a way. And so we thought, actually, we met once in London, because Justin happened to be the one that was actually giving us an award to Canzoniere Gaecanico Salentino. We won this Songlines Music Award in 2018, and it was the one actually presenting us and giving us the prize. And when we met there, I actually proposed to Justin to think something that we could be possibly doing together, the two of us. And at the beginning, we were, you know, just finding some time to meet, and then maybe shape the project, inviting maybe some guest artists, or I don't know, maybe a trio or a quartet. We didn't know. But then when we actually met in person, everything was going so smoothly and naturally that we actually knew that it was going to be the two of us only.
Justin, what's it? You gave the prize and you made yourself part of the prize, eh? I'm coming with you.
Yeah, that was the second prize.
That's right.
The booby prize, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's true to say, I mean, there's all these musical links that you could talk about, but actually, in a way, you know, just perhaps more the personal link, you know, where I really, Mauro and I get on very, very well. And I like the whole approach to life, and I like the whole, it just also, we've both been in very big noisy bands a lot, which is great, you know. Don't get me wrong, I like being in big noisy bands, and but
oh, yes.
Sometimes I do remember, especially, you know, sometimes I listen to these old recordings from the 30s, you know, whether it's, you know, the obviously the American blues ones, but, you know, some of those lovely Epirot, the Greek things, you know, that were recorded in the States. I hear that and I just think, wow, that's one guitar and a fiddle, or a little louder or whatever. These are small bands, but people are playing with such intention and and the music is so good. You don't sort of think, wow, this sounds a little bit small, you know, God, this could do with a banging bass drum. You never feel that, you know, when you're listening to book, like when you're listening to, and actually, so I think there's a beautiful flexibility and openness. And, you know, when people, I mean, when Mauro plays his drum, it's this huge sound, you know, the more other instruments you add with it, the less you hear of the size of that drum. And the saying, you know, a guitar is a big old instrument.
Yes, yes. Your guitar style is no shrinking violet, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so
great.
anyway,
Yeah.
I think we can make quite a lot of noise. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. It's interesting you said. Well, I love also the intimacy of 2 or 3 musicians playing together. Something that happens that can't happen any other way. But you mentioned that there's no sort of religious trance music in the UK, and that's certainly true. It's but there are descendants of that. You talk about coming out of punk rock, I mean, in a way that is that same kind of communal, like beyond just straight enjoyment of music or moving to the beat. There's something deeper that goes on, when people are like just completely
totally
throwing
agree,
themselves into the experience. So it all kind of fits together.
I totally agree. And me, before I even thought about any of this, me and my teenage friends, we used to talk about having these moments, when you're listening to music, and that's why we were listening to music, is to have this kind of moment where, I mean, it's we're not the only people to know about these things, it's what music's there for.
Great. Well, it's great to talk to you guys. And I guess now all the stars align. We'll be going straight to your performance, which, as we say, is in the cards.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, you guys. Enjoy the show. Hopefully we'll meet at a future WOMEX in person.
Inshallah.
All right.
Hopefully.
Now, as usual, we're finishing up on stage left with a taste of what we could have been exuberantly enjoying into the small hours on the global DJ's dance floor, were we able to have met in Budapest this year. Still, perhaps we can have a house party now with Moto Kiatu. Moto Kiatu. It means hot shoes in Kiswahili. They are V Anaya and Sinistema, a Spanish-Mexican duo on a mission to infiltrate fresh African sounds into the Spanish electronic music scene, consolidating the Madrid, Berlin, Lisbon axis. Moto Kiatu.
Hakuna chengine nataka ila penzi lako, wewe peke yako, I say. Hakuna mwengine, wewe uko pekeo, wewe ndiye wangu, wewe moyo wangu, na wewe ndiwe maso. Uko peke yako, I say. Uko peke yako, I say. Kwenye uzima, kwenye maradhi, mimi niko hapo. Mpaka utu uzima na milele bado nitakuwepo. Zetu kweli ni pingu za maisha, pingu zisizoweza kufunguka.
Juntos união, meu coração. Vamos então, da tua mão. Não quero esquecer, tens ilusão. Impossível deter toda a paixão. Juntos união. Juntos união. Juntos união. tua mão. Não quero esquecer. Tens ilusão. Impossível deter toda a paixão. Impossível deter. Juntos união. majozi ngehedi maridi ngemajozi tukengo semajozi tukengo khala hamba nimiyingisela khala majozi alungeno mina sena ala mina sena ala mina sena ala ji sena ala mina sena ala ji sena ala Josie isteri Josie isteri Josie isteri Josie isteri maritu balaba banika mabitu banteteterini bantuteterini bathe baninika mabitu shoma Josie isteri shoma Josie new erin shoma Josie les nales shoma Josie isteri maritu balaba baneti maritu ulabletelani mi ulabletela majozi ngeheti maritu ngemajozi tukengo semajozi tumengo khala hamba nimiyingisela khala majozi alumengo mina sena ala mina sena ala mina sena ala ji sena ala mina sena ala ji sena ala
Some more streets for that. Some more streets for that. Some more streets for action.
Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y.
Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y.
Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Prouve-moi que t'en as envie. Vas-y, 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 vas-y. Vas-y, 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 vas-y.
From Accra to Labadi, they ride in trotro. Wabe no kuni wabaye, one yamam wata no kofio. Trotro, trotro, we they ride in trotro.
Ben no kuna bay. Ben no kuna bay. Ben no kuna bay. Ben no kuna bay.
Trotro, 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 trotro. From Accra to Labadi, they ride in trotro. Wabe no kuni wabaye, one yamam wata no kofio.
Ben no kuna bay. Ben no kuna bay.
From Accra to Labadi, they ride in trotro. Wabe no kuni wabaye, one yamam wata no kofio. Trotro, 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 trotro.
Ade my zone.
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 Trotro.
Anytime I call for your phone top, you know the one pick, baby, what's up? It be like say the things me that you talk. You know the one here, you the mess up. I dey give you money, I dey bang bang. Baby, say me what you want, say maintain. That bang, eko si time, I bear my bed to me and send. This guy African love, no, they make sense. Make sense, make sense, make sense. I know they feel do nothing for my body. I they want buy you plane, you they want Benz. You they turn shocky to Azonto. Shaku, shaku, shaku in my condo. Tell me what you want in my habo. Opesa all them I come about the window. The window. No, no, send me a message, you know one said. How can I just beg for sex? This be something wait for this case. If I talk now, you say I did this step. Why I'm Africa, them my bread. No be you, they butter my bread. Want to my cat, all of my friends. 14 and so say free my end. Ice cream, when you touch me, ice cream. Lake vanilla, strawberry, they really sweet me. White, blue, red, green. When you touch me, ice cream. Too much sugar in your love, they really hurt me. Tell me a message, you know one said. How can I just beg for sex? This be something wait for this case. If I talk now, you say I did this step. Why I'm Africa, them my bread. No be you, they butter my bread. Want to my cat, all of my friends. 14 and so say free my end. Ice cream, when you touch me, ice cream. Lake vanilla, strawberry, they really sweet me. White, blue, red, green. When you touch me, ice cream. Too much sugar in your love, they really. You the 10 day to a midnight. We the laugh 7, then the 10 fights. Charlie make you tell me your shoe size. I'm a go France bar, I'm a 12 bro white. Your love they bright as gold. Chocolate cocoa. I'll show you what you don't know. Oh, yo. Whenever I see you calling, I don't go waste time, I go pick up. Wherever I see you falling, I go tend to a bed, make you fall on up. Do you hear me? If I don't see my good, you go near me. Will you near me? For the 7 minutes, me, you'll hear me.
Nairobi.
Estraga life, estraga life, estraga, 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 estraga life, estraga life, estraga life, estraga life.
Yoko yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Yoko yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Yoko yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Yoko yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Yoko yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Que yo un payaso, 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 que yo un payaso. Yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Yoko yo, no. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya, shit. Tiro mocazón, ya, shit. ¿Cuál es animación? Ya. Que yo un payaso, 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 que yo un payaso.
Se fosse menina mexe, se fosse menina mexe, se fosse menino mexe, se fosse menino mexe, se fosse menina mexe, se fosse menina mexe, se fosse menino mexe, se fosse menino mexe.
Mars, we on.
One, two, three, clap.
Moto Kiatu, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
And you? Great, thank you. I'm jealous of your beautiful rooftop setting. Where are you?
We are in Madrid, in Lavapiés, in a friend's house.
We are recording the set for the WOMEX.
Yes, so you're going to record straight after we speak, which is great because it's going to look amazing. I can't wait to hear what you have to play. But first, it's so nice to speak to you. Your name means hot shoe in Swahili. How did you both become interested in African music?
Wow, this is a long story. I've been traveling in Africa since more than 15 years ago. And I became interested in Africa. I did my studies, my master's degree in African studies, and we went to South Africa to live 1 year. And at the same time, we started with another collective that it calls Sonidero Mandril, and we started to play tropical music. So when we went to South Africa, we discovered a huge world regarding electronic African music, and when we came back to Madrid, we realized that it was impossible to find this kind of music here. So we decided to do our parties and to start to promote this music.
Yeah, and you've brought over some amazing artists to Madrid since you started in 2016. You've brought over people like Gato Preto, Era Maniello, Spock Matambo, Gafachi. I mean, that must have been so exciting, like, to have them play in Madrid. What was the reaction like?
So the scene in Madrid is begun. It's not a lot of people at the beginning, but also is working very, very good. The first year was difficult because the people is like, this is not electronic, but yes, and what is that song? It's a little bit trap. It's I don't know. The people try to understand what is listening, but right now there is a lot of people that is dancing this music and is coming to our parties, and it's very, very nice scene right now.
Yes, when you go to one of our parties, maybe the people doesn't know exactly who is the artist, but then you see the people like dancing like crazy. So it's very exciting. Great, amazing to see that. I think people is receiving this kind of music very, very well.
And has the scene changed since you started doing parties? Like, what's it like now compared to 2016?
Wow, when we started, people didn't. When you talk about African music, people doesn't think about electronic African music. They don't think that is African music. Now. Also because of big festivals as Sonar, for example, the electronic African music is getting more common in the society here. So I think people now is used to hear these songs, and I think in Madrid and in Spain in general there are some collectives that started to promote this kind of music in other cities. It's getting bigger, the scene.
Yeah, and obviously you guys are right at the center of it, and you also DJ, of course, alongside promoting. What have been some of your career highlights so far as DJs?
Well, Fusion is one place that we enjoyed a lot playing there. For us, it's like one of our favorite gigs.
Yeah, but the last year we was playing in Ghana, in Chale Water Festival, and it was amazing.
Yes. And in 17 we were playing in Ñegue Ñegue also, and some festivals here in Spain that is very nice to be there because it's a way to promote this music. To be in our country also playing is great, and to be in Africa, of course, is amazing.
Yes.
So we hope to go to more festivals in Africa in the future. Yeah, I was going to say, like, how do you tailor your sets? Because for me, when I've played in Africa, like, it's so wicked to see how the music goes down and everything. Like, how do you tailor your sets between a European audience and an African audience?
Wow, it's a...
I think we're preparing our sets thinking in the most actual music that are producing, and the biggest artists that we want to bring to Spain. Is, for example, we work a lot with Gafashi from Ghana, because we want to bring him. Well, also he's going to be here, but we are working with him to maybe make some workshops here, and also with Sensei Low. And we want to, when prepare our set, we are thinking in what the artists that we want to come to Madrid and show or prepare the people the songs for the parties.
But when we play in Africa, it's true that it's very difficult, because we are playing here. We play music that Europeans are used to here. In Africa, it's different. Maybe if when we went to Chalewote, people were dancing Asokpor and all kind of songs that we are not used to play here in Spain or in Europe. So we were so nervous, because we had like 1,000 of people there, like dancing like crazies with Gafachi, and then we played after Gafachi, that it was like, oh no, yes. Oh no. It worked, but it's not easy to play in different situations in Africa.
Yeah. And speaking of collaborations, you've just released your first production EP, EMBA, Electronic Music Began in Africa, featuring people like Betuk from Mozambique and South Africa, Freak de la Freak from Germany, DJ and Kappa from Portugal, Sensei Low. Why was it important for you to release a project like this, and why now?
I think the most important thing is to have the first compilation of this kind of music in our country. We want to work as a promoters and as a DJs, but also as a label, and to be in a space where artists can show what are they doing in Spain, because it's difficult to access to the public here in our country. So, and also for us it is very inspiring to be able to connect with these artists, and we are very grateful for their trust in our project. So I think yes, it's different things to promote the artists, to collaborate with artists in the continent, and to be the first label in Spain.
And the label in Spanish, because there is not label in Spanish also.
Yeah. And what are your aims? Like, COVID obviously notwithstanding, what are your aims for the next 12 months for Moto Kiatu?
So
we are preparing the next EMBA for the beginning of the next year. Also, we are, well, it's the thing that we can do it right now, because all the clubs, all the night, all the parties are stopped, are not working. And we are working in that. And we are also working with some artists to prepare the next year, basically, because
yes.
This year is...
We were working with Sensei Lo before the COVID, to bring her to Europe to organize a tour. So hopefully next year will be the reality. So we are planning this, and we are planning our next trip to Africa. Maybe Ghana, maybe Nyege Nyege.
Yes.
We don't know yet.
And also we are preparing some sets, some very special sets, like the WOMEX set, for the next year, for go to festivals and present and do a performance sets. And we are preparing right now, because it's the time that we have.
Yes. What can we expect? What sort of sounds are you going to be playing?
I think we are going to do a very beautiful promenade for different countries in Africa. We are going to Ghana, we are going to Mali, we are going to Uganda, we are going to Kenya, we are going to South Africa, and we are hoping that people will enjoy with this set that is going to be like very a little bit strong, and well, we hope you enjoy it.
Yes, I'm ready. We're ready. Moto Kiatu, thank you so
Ready
much.
to dance.
Yes.
Thank you so much too.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for the WOMEX, for the invitation.
It's a
Yes, we are very
pleasure.
happy.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Okay, Moto Kiatu. Now, that's it. That's it from stage left for WOMEX this year. Stage left is finished. Oh dear, what am I going to do now? Well, I'm going to wrap up here, and there's been something going on somewhere else, I'm sure. In the meantime, don't forget, you can always check out the videos, see them again, and get into contact with the artists by clicking on the artist profiles. I'm going to say goodbye for now from stage left, but of course tomorrow, Central European time, sometime, you have to look it up, I don't know anymore, it's been a long week, and is the award ceremony, which is not to be missed, especially from the comfort of your own sofa. There's really no excuse. So see you there, and goodbye for now. Bye bye everybody. Thank you for watching.